All right, we're going to go ahead and begin the June 2nd, 2026, 10 a.m. work session. Any changes to the agenda? Okay. All right, we'll start with, for the governing body, item 1, presentation by the Cultural Arts Council. This is of Douglas County, with updates for future plans. Emily Leitner. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council members and citizens. Thank you for having me here today. As mentioned, my name is Emily Leitner. I'm the Executive Director for the Cultural Arts Council, which is currently located in Douglas County. So a little bit about who we are for those that aren't familiar about the Cultural Arts Council is we are a nonprofit organization. We are an independent organization separated from the city and county. So why is that unique? Because we are one of few arts councils left in the state of Georgia that stand alone as an independent agency, and that's a nonprofit. Why this matters is because when an organization or government entity has an arts department within their government, city, county, it adds a significant budget line item, millions of dollars to be able to invest in the arts in the community. So why this is important to cities and counties surrounding us is that we're able to utilize our funds to better serve our citizens and visitors, not just within Villa Rica that is a part of Douglas County, but all citizens of Villa Rica. So today I want to be able to share a little bit of what we do, how we do it, and why it's important to invest in the arts within the city of Villa Rica. So as studies show, the data consistently shows that arts are a powerful tool and an economic driver. So that's important to the city of Villa Rica, making sure that we're driving that economic value within and giving back within to the community so you can do more within the city limits of Villa Rica. In Georgia, the creative industries generate an estimated $62.5 billion in economic impact. Additionally, the film industry demonstrates a strong return. For every $1 spent in film tax incentives, there is $6.30 in return to the state's economy, which also impacts your local city. These numbers reinforce what we see locally. And investment in the arts is not just cultural, it's economic. So arts and culture are a strategic investment in any community. They enrich quality of life. They drive economic, tourism, foster education, and creativity and innovation. They also help build a strong community identity, a sense of pride, while promoting meaningful social connections. In short, arts and culture are essential to a thriving, connected, and forward-looking community. So looking at some of the things that we do at the Arts Council, we put on over 30 plus events, and we're proud to have success in all of our major events this year, all of which exceeded expectations. And today we are celebrating our 40th anniversary of the Cultural Arts Council. So I invite everybody here today and everybody in the room tonight to come visit the Cultural Arts Council. We're located right across from Douglas County High School. So we're having a big celebration tonight as we present our annual meeting as we end our fiscal year, the end of June, and start our new fiscal year in July. So we'd love to have everybody come out. And we're going to spotlight some of these events that we do in programmings and our successes. And you'll see all the pictures that we showcase on the slide are either pictures from our events or artist artwork that we showcase throughout the community. So just in May, we had our annual Taste of Douglasville that brought in over 12,000 people from 17 states and 59 Georgia cities, according to Placer AI. We have our chili cook-off in October, our gala and auction, and our beer and wine festival. Now, as I mentioned, we are a nonprofit organization. So a part of that, we have to raise funds to be able to do everything that we do. So these fundraisers are some of the ways that we raise funds. We have membership options. We have grants that we write. So with those grants, it could be corporate support, foundation support, state support, city, county support. And with that, when we write a grant to an organization, we say, hey, we're going to provide XYZ services for XYZ dollars. And that way we can go then forth and promote and utilize those dollars to better implement for our visitors and our citizens alike. So in addition, we have other programming support, Beyond the events, we continue to provide a wide range of programs that serve both residents and visitors, so diverse class offerings. One of the things I like to always talk about when I speak with different groups, like the Kiwanis Club or Lions Club or the Rotary Club, and I ask, what is arts? Y'all think about that in the room. What is arts? Okay. So the first questions and answers I always get is painting, maybe photography. And if you think about it, what about the building we're standing in? An architect drew that out. What about fashion design? What about culinary arts? What about film, graphic design, video games? These are all forms of the arts, and the arts is in everything that we do. And the number one thing that employers are looking for on applications is their creativity to drive their business forward, looking forward into what we're going to become. So that's why arts plays an important role. On top of that, students that are involved in the arts within the school system are more likely to graduate with higher SAT scores, more likely to get in college, and have better attendance. These are all ways that it plays an important part. In addition, if you look at arts therapy, that's one road we're getting into right now, partnering with Kaiser Permanente, Wellstar, and Arts Pharmacy. Take a look at COVID when we were quarantined. What did that do to us when we weren't able to interact with others, especially for those that are extroverts and couldn't get out and talk with others? What did you do to be able to push back maybe depression or anxiety, those feelings that you're going through? For some, it may be singing on the top of your lungs in the car or in the shower. It could be writing, putting your feelings out there. These are all forms of arts. Literacy. So we try to showcase that all through our classes that we present at the Cultural Arts Council, from cupcake decorating, calligraphy classes, and I'll tell you what, I have no form of art with calligraphy. That is not my world, but I tried. Okay, so these are all different ways the arts play a role in our everyday lives. In addition to our rotating exhibits, which is what most people think about when you say Cultural Arts Council, they're like, "Oh, you have exhibits and that's it." No, that's not all we do. Our goal is to build a better quality of life for our residents and our visitors. So we have our rotating exhibits. In September, we'll be presenting our National Juried Art Show, which now has become not just a countrywide, it's a worldwide. We have artists submit artworks from all around the world, from Singapore to California, and then we jury them in, and they all come to our community and our Arts Council to showcase the artwork. So what is all of that doing? When they come here, when they fly here from Singapore, are they just flying and staying the day and flying back? No, that's a lot of flying and not enough time. So they'll fly here. They're going to get hotels. They're going to get food. You know, you have wonderful Gabe's right next door that we dearly love. They're going to go visit Gabe's because people know about Gabe's. People talk about Gabe's. They have amazing egg rolls. And so all of this is driving economic development back into your community. In addition, we have our Arts Ventures program, which is a really neat program that we started when the schools cut out arts. And that, as I mentioned, is a huge detriment to our students to be able to cut out arts. So we brought in curriculum-based performances into our school system for free. We hired artists. I wrote a grant to be able to bring that in. Have you ever seen the crystal glasses and you run your finger around the top of it, it makes the noise? Yeah. So he had like 100 of these, and he played Beethoven. So these students are getting a musical performance, but at the same time, he's talking about gravity and friction and vibration, because 75% of us are visual learners. So when you see it, you are more likely to retain it. And then we give lesson plans back to the teachers. And so when they go back to class, they're able to connect the dots. So when they start learning about friction and vibration in science class, they're like, oh yeah, so like when you take your finger and run across the top of it. So connecting those curriculum-based performances is one thing that we're able to do, and we can bring in to Villa Rica as well. Of course, we have seasonal camps. I think every parent in the room is probably like, it's summer. Oh no, what do I do with my kids? Didn't realize it snuck up on all of us. And so we provide camps. Every week we have different camps. Like I mentioned, we have sampler camps, summer arts camp, we have film camps, and all of that goes on throughout the summer. But one important thing that we do is also provide scholarships that we would like to be able to provide residents of Villa Rica for as well, to attend camps for those that may not be able to. During the school year, what we do is we partner with the schools. and specifically Title I schools, and the teachers or principals write a recommendation letter, and they have to be on free and reduced lunch. And then we review all the applications. Unfortunately, we have way more applications than we have the money for to be able to provide all of this. We're glad we're able to, and we're currently seeking out additional sponsorship support so we can reach as many students as possible through these scholarship programs. And one of our very first annual favorites was our Mad Hatter Tea Party, promoting the art of literacy. So of course, it's what you think. It's Alice in Wonderland. We have all the characters here. We partner with Words in Motion based out of Rica as well. We bring actors and actresses into the event. And for a lot of these kids, it's their first time seeing Alice, and maybe the only time they'll ever see Alice. And to them, that is Alice, and that is the Mad Hatter. And with our partnership with Words in Motion, they can play the part. They're not on their phone. Like, they are in character, because if you didn't know, in Wonderland, there's no phones. So they are like in character. It's a great event. It's our longest standing running event. So they go through different activities, and they have a tea party with all the characters. And then we end with an egg hunt at the end of the day, and that takes place in March. We also have our summer pop-up party in July, which is the annual favorite, bringing in different vendors, just a time for our community to come together. We have our multicultural festival we started a few years ago, and the photo on the screen is actually from one of the events. Sasya Kala is one of our Indian dancers. And the multicultural festival is really to represent our community. We have a great diverse community. All of us come from different backgrounds, different areas, to showcase great food, great performances, great vendors, all at the same time of being able to network with our community. So our work extends beyond the walls of the Cultural Arts Center. We believe true impact comes from community collaboration and engagement, building connections, encouraging participation, and creating lasting value locally and regionally. So myself and my team and our board of directors, we go and advocate on the city level, on the state level, and on the federal level. I was just in September to advocate for the arts, as they are looking at cutting out and eliminating national endowments for the arts and national endowments for the humanities. So I went and spoke with our legislation on the federal level. I'll be back in September to do that again this year. And it's important to keep in front of them to show the importance arts and culture have within our community, and how it builds a better quality of life, not just for our residents, but for our visitors, and particularly our students. So that's why the CAC plays an active role in what we do. So one of the big things that many of you may have heard about is our new Arts and Culture campus. So when we've talked to our community, we said, hey, where do you think arts is right now? Where do you want it to go? And what is important to you? And that's one of the privileges we have as a nonprofit organization, is to listen directly and implement immediately. And so we gathered all of that information. Our goal is not to duplicate efforts. So with all of that, I knew that film was going to be a little bit high, because that was when Lionsgate Studio Atlanta was building here. And that was going to be slightly high, and it was. One of the things that surprised me was culinary arts. So the first thing we do is, again, we're not here to duplicate efforts. We're here to fill in gaps. So we went to West Georgia Technical College and said, hey, we're hearing a lot of people interested in culinary arts. You know, can we help drive them? Like, where is that gap that we can assist? They said, we're actually out of space. We have to turn away students every semester. They have to defer a semester, or they have to drive to LaGrange to take the class. That's a huge problem. In addition, for independent filmmakers with Words in Motion, Kelly is an independent filmmaker, and her husband, they are both Southeast Emmy Award winners here in Rica, and they don't have a place to do their independent films. That's a problem. We have a huge amount of independent filmmakers in West Georgia area, and music recording artists, specifically in our school system. We created our Crash Academy to help with students be able to further their music recording skills, not just to put on YouTube or different apps, but to actually implement that as a business. So within our Arts and Culture campus, we took all that information we received, all that data, and only included the gaps. So with that, we are going to have a 94,000 square foot building. Billerica and Douglasville does not have a theater. We're one of few communities left in the state of Georgia that does not have a true community theater. So that's what we're looking at implementing. So we'll have a 340-seat performing arts theater, a culinary arts institute in partnership with West Georgia Technical College, classroom and artist incubator spaces, exhibit interactive gallery space, a black box space, a food hall, and much more. So the cool things about all of this is taking all the things that I've mentioned, all the art firms, all of our community needs and true gaps, and implementing it in this space. For example, a black box could be used for our independent film recording, our music recording, small galas, TED Talks. Our theater could bring in small Broadway plays or host a TED Talk. Culinary Arts Institute will be hosting them. In addition, right now, if you are a private individual culinary arts, you have maybe a cottage license, you have to drive to Atlanta for a safe serve kitchen. Now you have one in West Georgia, so you're not having to drive to Atlanta. In addition, with the artist incubator spaces, my mom is an artist as well. She uses that wonderful creative side of the brain, but that business side is not always there. And so I've noticed this, and I see this a lot with our events. When we say, hey, sales tax is 7%, they say, do I pay that to you? And I'm like, oh, no, honey, you pay that to the government. So there's little things like they just don't know what they don't know. So being able to have a space where they can learn and implement a business toolkit program in partnership with the SBA. The other part about artists is, where are they working out of? If they can't afford maybe a shop in downtown, they're working out of a spare bedroom. They're working out of a garage. Now, say I'm an artist and I sold a painting to someone that I don't know. They now have to come to my house to pick up the painting. What is the risk in that now? So you're bringing unknown strangers that you don't know into your home to hold these meetings. So part of our artist incubator space is they can lease a space from us. They can do whatever they want out of it. They can host their meetings. They can sell their artwork. They can paint, but providing a safe space for them to become artists so they can thrive in their business. Another part is the food hall. So with the Culinary Arts Institute program, we'll be able to when students graduate from the program, they can apply to be part of the food hall. So then one will get a food hall stall, and they'll be paired with a mentor. One of the biggest struggles we have, as adults too, but specifically students, when we graduate a program, whether it's high school, college, or a technical school, the big question for all of us, and maybe still for some of us in this room, is what's next? What do I do? Do I just go apply for 30 jobs? If we are able to create these incubator pipelines for students and adults, they're more likely to thrive in our community. So that's what we're looking to do within the city of Villa is help our students, our residents, and our visitors thrive here in our community, creating a hub for community, creativity, and economic vitality within everything that we do. So you can see Arts and Culture Campus serves as this hub. The transformational project expand our ability to serve residents, visitors, and support local artists and businesses. So we're excited to share strong momentum on this project. The state of Georgia just revised their FY26 budget. For those that don't know, the state's budget ends in June of this year. So they amended it. We weren't pitching for FY26. We were pitching for FY27. As some of you know, there's this thing called FIFA coming in to Atlanta, Georgia. It's apparently a big deal. And so most of those dollars are going to FIFA. So they wanted to go ahead and make sure that the state showed their endorsement for the campus, which is a big deal. And then in FY27, we're hoping that we're able to get some funding on the end of that, and then our real pitch is FY28. But having the state support in the beginning is a huge deal. In addition, I have applied for grants on the federal level through all of our delegation. I'm happy to announce that Congresswoman McBath has submitted it out of office and into appropriations now. So being our first year applying for funding, we're very excited. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 years to get something on the federal level. So then from there, will go into the House and then through the Senate if it continues. But the fact is that they have all endorsed this project. They realize not just the impact it's going to have on Douglasville, Douglas County, Villa Rica, West Georgia even. It's going to have an impact on the state. There's nothing like this building within the state of Georgia, and they recognize that fact. So we are excited to have support from other corporations and foundations, like Amazon has already made their investment. Google is about to finalize. A lot of our power companies are having the same conversations right now. They recognize the impact of economic development for our communities and for our state. So looking ahead, our focus is sustaining long-term programs and strengthening our partnerships, including Villa Rica. Our vision is to expand our reach through new events and offerings, creating a shared vision of an inspired and connected community. So as we celebrate 40 years, we're not just honoring our past, we're building together an even more dynamic future. And the Cultural Arts Council and myself are truly grateful for possible partnerships and support from the City of Villa Rica. So together, we are building a vibrant hub of arts and culture that benefit our entire community. So thank you for your time, each of your leadership, and continued investment in the Cultural Arts Council and the arts in your own community. So with that, Mayor and City Council members, thank you for allowing me to come today. Do you have any questions?
Councilman Barr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Leitner, thank you for being here, and we appreciate your presentation. And also, I appreciate the fact that you are willing to include Villa Rica in this process. I think it's very exciting and good news. But there are barriers with Villa Rica and the program being in Douglasville. How can we collaborate? How can we work together to ensure that our families and our youth here in Villa Rica are able to participate in the programs that you have, either projected or currently having existence now?
That's a great question. So, the portion of Villa Rica that is within Douglas County, we want to make sure that we're including them in what we're doing as their residents of Douglas County. But again, we're not a city or county entity, so we want to expand our reach, not just to the citizens within the Douglas County area, but throughout the city of Villa Rica. So opportunities like scholarships, bringing our events within your space, consulting on projects, and taking a deep dive into what arts and culture actually look like within your community and where we can help fill in those gaps so we can better serve your citizens of all of Villa Rica.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Warmoth.
And I will say, Kelly with Words of Motion is fantastic.
Yes.
And the fact that she is involved in this, I do believe that will help to collaborate with Villa Rica and Douglas County, or Douglasville, sorry. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that part out there.
Yes, she is wonderful.
She is fantastic.
And if you didn't know, her son is famous with being Superman in the new Superman movie.
Look, and I won't get into all of that too much, but her son is absolutely precious.
He's our Mad Hatter at the Mad Hatter Tea Party.
I have photographed him many times. He is precious, and he loves the camera.
He does.
Councilman Conte.
Good morning.
Good morning.
When are you looking to have this completed?
So that's a great question. Our goal is to build between 2 and 3, to raise between 2 and 3, and build between 3 and 5, with an estimated goal of opening in 2030. And the building location, we are looking at purchasing Hartley Rowe and Fowler Law Office in downtown Douglasville. So that's right across from Regents Bank on Church Street.
I know when we met, there were, some questions. I was looking like, how's this going to be funded?
Yeah.
And from what I understand, recalling from what you said, there are certain corporations that like having their name on a room and
Exactly.
will, purchase that, fund it, the building of it and everything. Did you not also say something about some of the dance groups in Villa Rica that are having to go
Yes.
elsewhere
Yes.
to try to train or perform?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that was important to me. I'm a resident just right on the other line of Villa Rica, and my daughters both take dance and Douglas County. And so we are driving to Carrollton to attend, which we did just last weekend. They're in 3 performances, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I am there all day long. So what am I doing while I'm there and bringing my family members in? We're eating lunch, we're eating dinner, and all of that is driving economic development to Carrollton, which I love Carrollton. However, This is a way to keep our money back within our own community. So I was like, is this just a one dance company issue, or is this a bigger issue that they don't have a place to perform? So I started reaching out to dance studios within our community, within Villa Rica, and our surrounding area, and I realized they are driving all the way to East Atlanta for their recitals. There's nowhere over here that has enough. And so I started talking to the schools. I was like, hey, y'all have theaters. Is this an opportunity? Well, they're booked with all their year-end activities as well, and their final spring band concert, chorus concert. There's no space for all of the dance schools. We have 20 plus dance schools that are driving outside of Villa Rica right now for their recitals. And I realized, okay, that's a bigger problem. And personally, I would love to be able to assist that for my own family. So that is a huge issue. And this will be able to provide that opportunity for our dance studios to stay local.
Councilman Barr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Ms. Leitner, as a nonprofit, your main objective is to serve the community and benefit the community. So there are families that typically that participate in cultural arts programs and so forth. They have means, but what about the families that do not have means, like the low income or the underserved communities? What programs do you have that will basically kind of cover everybody across the board, not just families that can participate?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, because that's one of our initiatives, is making sure that we're serving our underserved communities. And with the scholarships is one of the great ways that we're able to do that I mentioned, and be able to extend those scholarships to the residents of Villa Rica by applying. We just did a post recently for some of our art camps that we have during the summer, inviting parents to submit an application. And the amount that we received was just overwhelming. And they all were just amazing, including pictures of their child's work and what they do and how it's important. And, this is their pathway in life. And also, as I mentioned, a lot of them need that arts therapy as an outlet. So being able to extend those services to our underserved communities within Villa Rica. In addition, we have other opportunities. We have, during our Winter Wonderland exhibit and our Youth Art Month, is an opportunity to partner with our schools that we can extend into Villa Rica as well. And we host students' work that is selected by the art teachers with an exhibit. And the thing about that is students remember that forever. We have grandparents coming in saying, hey, my artwork hung here. And in fact, back in December, we had a grandmother, a daughter, and her daughter all exhibit at the Cultural Arts Center, and they still had their pieces of artwork, and they brought it to us so we could take a photo of them together at the Cultural Arts Center. It's something they remember forever, and it builds that self-confidence. Their artwork is on display at a gallery. So being able to extend the opportunity. And at those exhibits, we also do, in partnership with Amazon, we have free art supplies. So every student that comes through our facility gets free art supplies. And we have our free art box out front. And then in December, we did a food drive as well. So not only did every student walk away with a free art supply bag, they also walked away with a bag of 40 pounds of food to take home with them. We recognize one of the biggest issues over breaks, specifically summer, is the lack of food that students may be able to have. So we partner with Papa John's Foundation. I write a grant, and we're able to, we call it the Break Box Program. No, this is not arts, but our students are important. And to have successful students, they have to have food in their bellies. And so we go and we partner with our Title I schools, and we provide food. And then they discern, we provide backpacks, which students are in need for those to take them home. With that program, with Winter Wonderland and Youth Art Month, as I mentioned, we can go out and extend those services to Villa Rica as well to make sure they have the same opportunities. With the free art supplies, that's something that we noticed during COVID, is that students couldn't share supplies. And so everybody was donating pencils and things for your regular classes, but they could no longer share paint in art class. They could longer share markers. And so students were going without because they couldn't share these supplies. So at that point, we created during COVID, when we were still quarantined, free art bags, and we put them on the front porch so students could come and pick those up, take them home. And then we realized this was a bigger issue. People a lot of times think about, okay, they need rulers or calculators. So we instituted our free art box. So it's continually filled, thanks to Amazon, with art supplies. So you don't have to come in, you don't have to talk to anybody. You can just go to the art box and get the supplies that you need, whether it's for school or at home, so we can continue to cultivate these talents within our students.
Thank you. One last question for you. What is there any type of AI programs that you have included in the Cultural Arts Center?
That's a great question. So AI and arts, there's a lot of controversy around it. And where is that line between AI and the arts? I don't have the answer for that. However, AI is not going anywhere. It's only going to grow and get bigger. So it's adapting to this new world. We partner with the Douglas County Chamber of Commerce for a basic AI class and showcasing what that looks like. In addition, talking about the legal rights around AI, particularly in the artist world, copywriting. You know, one of our artists unfortunately it was a beautiful painting of downtown Atlanta. In the very back, and this goes back to our business toolkit program that we'll have in the campus, was Coca-Cola. What happened? She got sued. You could barely see it. You could barely read it, but it was Coca-Cola. You don't know what you don't know. And so the same thing goes with AI. If you're not looking at what AI is putting into it, what legal parameters around that as well. So it's more of an informational, and hey, we're going to have to embrace it sooner or later. It's not going anywhere, but making sure that you do your due diligence before you utilize it.
That's good, and thank you for that, because one of the things I noticed, I went to Villa Rica High School Career Center, and they have a wonderful arts program, graphic arts program, and one of the things that they're trying to do is keep kids engaged in the program, because it's just basically, it's sort of going away because of AI. And so they started incorporating AI into their curriculum, their lessons, and teaching them how to actually use the applications. You know, they're on the front end, they're already creators, but they're using the applications to be able to, you know, further expand, you know, their art form. And I just thought that would be a great, you know, thing to consider, because basically what we want to do is we want to keep art dies because the youth is not engaged in it, and if we don't engage them, then, you know, programs like these will just basically continue to kind of struggle to find its place in society. And I think focusing on the youth is the way to do that, especially being innovative in the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing we love to hear from our community and citizens of what are you interested in learning about. So when we hear that, and we do surveys every quarter saying, is there something new, whether it's ceramics or photography, or we hosted a class for our senior centers of how to take photos with your cell phone. We hear those things, and if it's something like that, we implement them because we're here to serve our citizens and their needs.
Thank you.
Councilman Conte.
Will there be some type of transportation assistance for students who may need that to participate into the project and the program?
We do not currently have any transportation assistance programs. However, that is something that we've been looking into. Now, within Douglas County, we do have the Connect Douglas bus system that helps transport. However, if we look to continue moving forward with a partnership, that's something that we could write a grant for or find other ways and avenues to assist that, because that's definitely an issue.
Right, because obviously Villa Rica, we don't have a transportation system like that for the students to participate.
Yeah, and that is a huge barrier as well. So I think that's a great point that maybe we could write a grant to help provide for that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Does Connect Carroll County connect to Connect Douglas County?
I'm not sure. I would
'Cause
have to double check on that.
have the connection. I wasn't sure. Do they meet at the line? Do they? And I can't remember. I was thinking that there was some assistance on the Carroll County side
I
that
think there is
went
a connection
across at
point, 'cause-
times. I don't know with doctor's appointments, that type of thing.
Yeah, we have a connection on the Cobb side, and I thought there was on a Carroll side, but I would have to double check before I said that assertively.
And I don't know. Only other question from me, because I know there's a performance area.
Yes.
So, to give an example, and I knew we talked about this briefly, Milltown's gone, but Milltown was a way to not go to Atlanta, and you could still see national acts,
Yeah.
right? All privately owned, run. Townsend Center. I
Yeah.
know we've been down there occasionally. It's not expensive. You'd
Yep.
be surprised what you can take a grandchild for, or a family member, Christmas events, etc., ballet events. I mean, it's amazing what they do on not a giant stage.
Yeah.
Are those the type of things that could also occur here? Because we talked about the fact that people want to have it out here without having to go into Atlanta.
Correct, absolutely. And one of the organizations you mentioned, ballet, I've been speaking with the U.S. Ballet Company. We work closely with the Georgia Ballet already, but the U.S. Ballet Company, they write grants to be able to provide their services specifically to underserved communities that don't have access to ballet and the arts. So I've been speaking with them. They recently performed in Anniston, Alabama, and an amazing performance, but their ticket prices were $20. And so that is what we're looking for as well. We want to make sure that we have an inclusive program that serves all, reach all areas. Now, will we have small Broadways that might be higher priced? Yes. Do we want things also lower priced? Absolutely. That way everybody has the opportunity to engage in the arts.
Well, for the people that can pay the higher price, it helps fund
Yeah.
what goes on. So that's why you have it. So for the people that can do that. Any other questions from council? Well, thank you,
Thank you so much.
Ms. Leitner, Emily, for your presentation. Appreciate you answering the questions too. What time's the event this evening?
It's from 5 to 8, but the
5 to 8.
at 6:30.
Okay, all right. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to C, Building Development Update. It'll be Mr. Jarvis.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. On our development update list, we worked to add a LDP status column. It kind of lets us know where we're at on the development of each one. It either says closed out, issued, or pending, or not issued. I'm going to explain the closed out. So a residential development gets going. They've been issued an LDP. They put in
And LDP is, I'm doing
land
this for,
disturbance permit.
I know we take it for granted.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And then once they get in all their infrastructure, streets in, utilities in, it goes to the inspections, and then a final plat is submitted that shows all their as-built. That's reviewed by staff, and then that comes to the city council and mayor for final approval. Once that is complete, the LDP is closed out, the land disturbance permit, and then the individual building permits per lot serve as an individual LDP for each unit that's being built. Now that's only in in residential. Commercial, the LDP stays the whole time the project's going on because they're constantly moving dirt over the project. But once the final plat's signed off on and recorded, there should not be no more mass grading, and that's why it goes to an individual lot, because you have individual builders. You may have 3 or 4 builder groups in the subdivision, and then they're accountable for what they're doing on their lot. So we added that. We added a few updates on the development update side. When you look at the development update, it's possible and active. What we consider active is either they've had a permit issued or they've already CO'd it. In other words, they went through the whole cycle of building the house. And that gives you kind of can tell how far they are into the project, because like the Connors Landing had 249 possible lots. They're going really quickly. They've got 155 that is active. In other words, and probably more than half of them has been CO'd, but they're in some kind of either building or a family's moved in or whatnot on that. There's not a whole lot of change, from month to month. Maybe the numbers change just a little bit, or we've completed the LDP stage and moved into the building, actual going vertical with buildings. But this keeps you a pretty good update. We updated everything on the far right column. We tried to make more notes on there as concerning, where we're at with the developer. Say that it's pending on the LDP status. In other words, maybe we're waiting on the state of Georgia to sign off on the civil review, and then we can get it in our plan review, or maybe we're already in our plan review and it's in that process, and we're trying to put better notes to the right side that we can everybody can understand where each development is and each building project is going on. But if you have any questions or anything else that you would like us to kind of to do on this list, we would be glad to do it.
Are there any significant changes that you think you need to bring to our attention? Because I know we're doing this basically monthly.
Yes, ma'am. Not really. I mean, we're been dealing with Jeff Fuquay on his other pod of townhomes, kind of negotiating with him, looking at different things that he's wanting to do, and letting him know what he can't do per se. Other than that, I mean, that's probably getting close to them submitting a set of civils on that. The Fortune Parkway, Tamarack, doing the single family attached there is proceeding along. So my big concern is Whataburger and their building. So, personal concern, not business concern. But no, I mean, it's just kind of a slow roll right now. Development's slowing down with our capacity issues. So trying to sort out things and keep everything going. The building inspection department is really busy because of all these developments that are going vertical. So that's busy. So yeah, everything's going along good, but we're glad to answer any questions.
Questions from council? Okay, good, thank you. These are really helpful.
Thank you
I'm
very
so glad
much.
we do this now, staying up to date on what's coming up and
Yeah.
what's
And
off the docket.
We'll keep everything updated and get you one of these every time. And we appreciate it. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
All right, human resources, workers' compensation renewal. Ms. Lanford.
Good morning. It's that time of year again. Okay. It's that time of year again. We have to renew our workers' comp policy. So we have our renewal that came back with Bitco again. It is a slightly increased premium because our payroll costs increased, or projected payroll costs increase. But we did keep the same terms and the same $2,500 deductible. And I listed the rates from last year to compare to this year just for you to reference. If you have any specific questions, I do have Jason here from the Mallory Agency. That is our broker, if you would like him to answer anything.
It appears that the rates went down, but the reason it's costing us more is what you included on the cover sheet.
Because we got more payroll.
Yeah, we have more payroll.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a welcome thing to happen is when the rates go down, which happens almost nowhere in life anymore.
Yeah.
Seems like.
We've been pretty steady the past couple years, so I guess we were due for a little jump.
Anything else? Council? All right. We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? What we didn't do is we don't have to make a decision on this though, right? We have to adopt
Goes
it.
on.
We have to adopt it. So,
Consent.
is there any objection to making this can be a consent item, yes? Any objection to making this consent item number 1? Okay. I forgot to do that before I was letting you go. All right, Parks and Recreation. Dr. Rachel Lynn. We
Good
have a
morning.
Library Advisory Board appointment
Rachel Lynn,
and reappointment.
library manager. And so we have 2 different boards, which may be confusing, but there are actually 3 boards that we kind of deal with as a library. So the first item is to appoint someone to the Villa Rica Library Advisory Board. And we have Ms. Caitlin Small has applied for that position. The board interviewed her and felt very confident that she would be a good addition. We do have another open vacancy because we had a board member move outside of the city limits. So if you know anyone who could fill another space, then please encourage them to send in an application for the Villa Rica Library Advisory Board. So that's the first item there.
Can I stop you for
Yes.
just a moment? We don't have an attachment for that person or their application.
Ma'am,
Is-
I am making it confidential. The cover sheet had the biography of the person that they are presenting, so I have made it confidential until it was presented to you. If you can hold on just a second, I'll
Okay.
get it up there.
I have a paper copy. Would that be okay?
So, as far as making this appointment, you said there's one other opening.
There is.
So can we make sure that's put out there and advertised so people will know that opening is there? Put it on our newsletter, whatever's the best way to get the word out. Okay. If anybody knows anybody that really, wants to be a part of the advisory board for the library, has an interest in that. I know we've had sometime retired teachers, just like the next item, right?
Would you like for me to read it out loud would that be helpful?
Because we could do it as a consent item.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything's moving slowly.
I'll read it if that's right. No. So, Ms. Caitlin Katie Small is a Villa Rica resident who is heavily invested in the community. She serves as the Deputy Executive Director of a Food Services Trade Association and works with children at Lifegate Church, and is also a part of the West Georgia Moms. And she enjoys reading with her young son. In addition to her experience working with complex board structures and children, she brings marketing, photography, creative thinking, and outreach skills. Ms. Small is passionate about reaching new audiences and creating new opportunities at the library for younger and midlife adults. She wants to challenge assumptions about how libraries can serve the community and support literacy initiatives. So that was what she is bringing to the table. We felt like that was a good addition to an advisory board, just having that board experience. That's what she does. And then having experience with other nonprofits. So staff is recommending to appoint Katie Small to the Villa Rica Library Advisory Board to fill a current vacancy that appeared, her term would start January 1st of 2026 and end December 31st of 2028.
Any questions from council?
Madam
Yes,
Mayor, I
Councilman
do have
Barr.
one question. Outside of her advisory board experience, were you involved in that process of selecting or interviewing?
Yes.
Okay, could you basically just kind of give me one key element that stood out to you that you think that she would add value to the board?
I think it's marketing and photography and just having those skills in that space, because one of the biggest challenges that we experience is getting the word out, making sure that people know exactly what they have. We have kind of an overwhelming number of things happening at the library.
Yes.
So making sure that the right audience is hearing about the right activity and service for them is something that we really want to excel at. And so we're hoping that she will help us do that.
Thank you.
Councilman Conte?
2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
How many members are there for the advisory board?
7.
Okay, and we have right now 2 vacancies, one that you're trying to fill and another one.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
And then my other question is, how is that marketed out to the community to participate or put it in application or what have you?
We put it in our newsletter and on our social media sites. We have a pretty strong following there, and then we'll put it on physically in the library as well.
Okay, thank you.
You guys definitely have a lot of activities. I look at that, and when I showed up the other day, the Lions Club was doing screening one part. The kids had all these other activities going on. Everybody was having a good time, it looked like, but it was busy. And it was, I can't remember what y'all called it. You had the little library thing out front, the front
kickoff?
door. Yeah, but there was just a great turnout for the time that I was there, so. And
We had
and
about
I see what you guys have on the newsletter going on. You keep up with it. If there's no other questions from council, anyone opposed to making this consent item number 2?
No.
All right, that'll be number 2, and you have another item for the Carroll County Library Advisory Board.
Correct. So this is another advisory board that we work with, but it's the whole county, so all 6 libraries and other organizations have representatives on this. Ms. Claudia Best has been representing us on that board, and she is up for a new term. All that the West Georgia Regional Library System asks is that there just be a recommendation. That's the formality of the process. So I'm happy with Claudia Best continuing to serve. As far as I know, the city is as well, and the library board feels like she's doing a good job serving on that board. So recommending her again.
Questions from council? Is there anyone opposed to making this consent item number 3?
No.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Lynn.
you.
All right, police purchase, item F1, purchase of 2026 Ford Escape.
Good morning,
morning.
Mayor and Council. Eddie Thompson, Administrative Captain, Villa-Rica Police Department. Sorry about that. The police department we currently operate a 2012 Ford Escape that's assigned to Administrative Sergeant Michelle Landrum. The vehicle has a little over 107,000 miles on it right now and is showing some signs of mechanical issues, which include squeaking, rattling, and early signs of transmission slippage. Okay. So given the vehicle's age, mileage, and deteriorating conditions, we anticipate that it will soon start costing the city repair cost, maintenance repair costs. So to ensure reliability and avoid these costs, we recommend replacing this vehicle. So we went out and got 4 quotes from 4 different Ford dealerships on a 2026 Ford Escape, which we found the Ford Escape is very reliable for administrative staff, okay, as well as investigators. So after reviewing these 4 quotes, reviewing the vehicle, the options, and the cost, we recommend buying a new 2026 Ford Escape from Don Rich Ford, which is a local dealer. Yes. Oh, and after 2026 is the last year Ford will make the Escape.
Is that right? What are we going to do? Isn't that what everything we have
Yeah,
is?
we found that out when we went to getting quotes.
Okay.
So basically what you find on a lot right now is all you get.
And we've already been having to go sometimes out of town or further away to get what we needed, so
Yes, ma'am.
we'll be transitioning, I guess, in the future. Y'all are going to have to find out what works good for the
Yes,
police
ma'am.
department.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? Questions from council?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Councilman Conte?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is there a particular reason why we have to get a new Ford? Because we can't get like a 2024 or a 2023?
We can. I mean, we just figure on getting a new one. That way it comes with a warranty. If something happens to it, then if we do buy from Don Rich, there's right across the street, they're a local dealer. They all come with a 3-year warranty, 36,000 mile warranty, which I anticipate a 24, 25, or even a 23 would not come with any warranty.
Of course.
Councilman Marchman?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this a take-home car, or is this one that
Yes, ma'am.
everybody uses?
No, ma'am, it's a take-home car.
Don't we have some extra cars out there that nobody's using in the parking lot? They can't use that?
Most all the vehicles, this is a unmarked car, it's a plain car.
Mm.
It won't be marked because it's an administrative car, like what I drive, the chief drives. So it's an unmarked car. So to answer that question, we have several new marked cars, but we don't have any unmarked cars.
Oh, so this has to be an unmarked car?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Conte? Oh, are you finished? I'm sorry. Councilman Marchman?
Yeah, I'm through.
So
Councilman Conte.
the unmarked cars, they're used what, daily, or?
Yes, ma'am.
And who uses those particular vehicles?
Well, like I said, the one we're talking about right here is currently assigned to Sergeant Landrum.
Okay.
So that's the one we're trying to replace. I have an unmarked car. The chief has an unmarked car. All the investigators have an unmarked car. Captain Finley has one.
So this particular, is this in the current budget, or we're trying to get this in the new budget? I'm trying to get an explanation.
This is trying to get this out of the school camera revenue fund, which right now we're able to purchase equipment vehicles out of that particular fund.
Okay.
So is this car just, is it used during the day or just coming in park and then?
Well, it's used to and from work, used during the day. She works a lot of concerts and extracurricular issues. She uses it then. So it will
mic.
help. Sorry, I'm
There you
sorry.
go. That's better. Thank you.
I'm sorry. So it will be used, not just sitting out in the parking lot for 7 out of the 8-hour days. She will use it.
And the investigators are going to and from whatever they're investigating.
They're crime
You know,
scenes, yes,
crime
ma'am.
scenes, whatever. Councilman Wormuth?
So it's not uncommon for officers to have take-home vehicles that are not marked. That is not anything that's uncommon. The 2012, was that purchased new? Do you know?
No, ma'am, I do not know.
That's okay. I know
do
I'm
not
putting you
know
on the
that.
spot there.
And I'm sorry. Yeah, I would say yes, but I don't know the answer to that question.
No, that's okay. So, with 107,000 miles, and purchasing new, like you said, it's going to come with that warranty and whatnot. This is kind of a little bit off subject, but we brought up the fact that this is coming from the school zone camera revenue. Where are we with the lights in those school zones so that we are completely transparent
Okay.
when those cameras are in use?
That equipment has been purchased.
Uh-huh.
It is currently with the installers. Hopefully this month, those lights will go up.
So we will definitely have them up before school starts.
That's, yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Well,
because I just
I'm
want to
not gonna
make,
say definitely, but that's our plan, okay? We told the installer we wanted them up in June, and the equipment was delivered to us. He came and got it, so he now has the equipment. The installer has the equipment.
well, I'm going to bug you until they are up.
Yes, ma'am, and we will
And-
bug them.
Okay,
We-
so I'll bug you and you can bug them
Yes, ma'am, we
because,
will certainly do that, because we told them we wanted, since school's out, that's
Yes.
when we want them installed, is while school's out. So they said June.
yeah, because when citizens are seeing that the funding source is coming from the school zone camera revenue, that's going to raise other questions and concerns. And, one of the biggest things is that transparency
Yes,
and
ma'am.
making sure that we're being completely transparent when those cameras are
Yes, ma'am.
being used. But yeah, so thank you.
Okay.
Councilman Barr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good morning, Officer Thompson.
Good morning.
I think I should know this, but just for clarification, when you say purchase, we are actually purchasing outright. We're not leasing, or we're actually just purchasing?
Yes, sir. It
purchasing.
will,
Okay.
it will belong to yes, we are purchasing outright.
Okay,
Yes.
so then will become our asset that we will own. And you also mentioned that they're not making any escapes anymore. Have you all considered what's next? What would be the next best option to purchase that instead?
Well, yes, we have talked about it, but no definite, Chevrolet makes something comparable to the Escape, and we're waiting to see. Ford doesn't, the dealers that we talk to don't really know what Ford, if they're going to replace the skate with anything or they're just going to stop. I think to me, if we had probably the little sport Bronco would be equivalent to the Escape. That would be my thought process, but nothing's been decided on what we will go to next.
Okay, I asked that question because my own personal use, when I purchase vehicles, I don't purchase, if it's going out of date or then they're not going to make it anymore, then I'm concerned about repair or parts. Or,
Yes,
the expense of actually the maintenance to maintain it because it's not a common vehicle anymore.
Right.
And I think that should be also considered as well. So if it's not going to, if they're going to, do away with the Escape, then maybe look at another option that would be, we can be reasonably, can be reasonably repaired if
Yes.
necessary.
Yes. Well, we have talked about it, but no definite decision has been
Because-
decided on what we're going to go to next.
Yeah, because the automotive industry right now is just about maintenance.
Yes.
So if that car is not available anymore, they're going to jack the rates up on repairs,
Yes.
and that could cost the city a little bit more money down the line, even though it is maybe fairly new and it does have a warranty, which is good. So maybe if we do that, then consider maybe getting rid of it before the warranty ends.
Councilman Conte.
Okay.
Are you finished, Councilman Barr?
And thank you,
Okay,
Madam.
Councilman
Mayor.
Conte.
Okay, so I'm looking at the numbers, and looks like you guys are requesting $29,588, and we had 4 bids: Don Rich, Stivers Ford, what is that? Allen Vigil, and Hardy Ford, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So my question is, how did we land, or you guys land, on Don Rich when I'm looking at the numbers for Hardy Ford? They're $29,133.81.
Yes, ma'am.
And Stivers is even cheaper.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
$28,245. Why didn't we go with the cheaper bid?
Well, the options, one Don Rich is offering has a few more options than the other two.
What are the options?
Right off the bat, I want to say something like a spare tire, a little spare tire, maybe a power lift gate, and one of the since you're correct, they were third. Don Rich was third on the list. The other two you mentioned, but being a local business, that's why we just, if something happens, they're across the street, and we just decided
So,
to go with
If
a
I
local
can
business.
interrupt just for a
Hold on.
second, because I think this might help answer the question,
No, I
is
wanna
the
hear from-
purchasing
I wanna hear
policy.
from him. Okay, so where is Hardy Ford and Stivers Ford located? Aren't they
in
all
Dallas.
Carroll County or no?
No, Hardy
Okay.
is Dallas, Georgia.
So that's Dallas, so that's Paulding.
Stivers, I don't know where Stivers is. Allen Vigil, I believe, is Morrow, right? I don't know for sure. Union City is
Okay, so Stivers is Union City.
And-
Okay, so looks like we have 2 West Georgia Ford dealerships, which is Don, which is here in Carroll County, and then we have Hardy Ford, which is in Paulding County, correct?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my question for Hardy, as you stated, you said Don Rich Ford offered additional options.
Yes, ma'am.
Did we circle back around to those other 2 specifically, or other one that's close to us as well, which is the Paulding one, Hardy, to see if they would match their option since they're cheaper?
The vehicle they were offering us, which is, we gave a window sticker of the vehicle they were offering us for this price does not include the exact same options as the Don Rich. Now, Hardy did offer one that had a few more options than Don Rich, but it was more than any of these.
What do you mean?
The quote was more.
So, I'm trying to understand what you're saying. You said Hardy offered more options than Don Rich, but then the quote increased?
Yes, because of a different vehicle. It was not the same vehicle as this 29,133 quote.
What vehicle was Hardy offering?
It was a Ford Escape, just with more options.
And what was their bottom line? Because I don't see that here, that paperwork here.
Well, we didn't include it because it had more options and it was like 30, I don't remember the exact, it was like 32,000.
So for the $29,133.81, that specific vehicle didn't offer or doesn't offer any options for us?
Yes, ma'am. It has some options. The one from Don Rich does have some
No,
options.
I know. I'm talking about for Hardy, though. I'm trying to understand why
Yep.
we disregarded that one.
Yeah, so the one from Hardy does not have the exact same options as Don Rich.
Right.
Right.
But my question is, what were those? I understand they're
I-
different,
oh.
but what were they?
I don't know specific, but I know like the power lift gate, the spare tire, the mini spare tire, I don't know exactly what they call it. But if you look at the window stickers of the two cars, I don't know which, that the Hardy?
Yes.
That's the Hardy?
All cars have spare tire.
That's what I thought too.
What, ma'am?
I was asking Councilman Marshman what she stated because I couldn't hear, and she was saying, doesn't all vehicles offer a spare tire, especially if they're new?
No.
Wow, that's disrespectful.
If you look at Hardy's, that I believe that's Hardy's. Over on the bottom left, you won't see. So if you'll pull up Don Rich's quote, if we can see Don Rich's quote,
I got it on my screen.
look at its window sticker, the vehicle from Don Rich. Oh my goodness!
We got it sideways. Okay.
All
Sorry.
right. All right, see over on the left, the bottom left, or it's going to be the top. You see the two options. There's two options listed.
It's easier to read it here,
Okay.
right there.
Okay.
I don't have that one. Okay.
Oh, there they are. Up, right where she's got the pointer. Yeah. Those two options you will not find on Hardy's.
So we chose Don because they offered a spare tire. Hardy Ford, their vehicle doesn't offer a spare tire, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Not the one you see listed as an
Right,
option.
not the one we see listed as an option. 'Cause
Yes, ma'am.
The one, if we wanted the spare tire, that'd be, you said 37,000, right? That would be a
Well-
uptick.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Don also offered, you said a power lift gate
Yes, ma'am. You'll see that power lift gate.
for the amount of 29,588.
Yes, ma'am.
Bottom line.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we didn't go with Stivers, which is cheaper than both of them, because they're $28,245 because they're located in Union City.
No, it's not.
The distance. I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
No, that's not the reason we did not go with them.
Okay.
The reason is if you will look at the two window stickers of the two cars, Stivers and Hardy's are the exact same cars.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, they offer a better deal.
Stivers is located in Union City. Is that what you said?
She just
Can I just please point this out? The difference of price with Stivers and Don Rich is $1,300.
Yes, ma'am.
The difference of Hardy and Don Rich is $455. So we're splitting hairs here over a very small amount of money. $1,300 is not just change here. I
Correct.
get that. But Don Rich is a local business. So I want to point that out, and the value of doing business locally is worth the $1,300.
That was one reason we recommended Don Rich is you're correct, it is a little more, but they are a local business.
For clarification and transparency, Ms. Holman, will you explain a little bit about because it'll be good
Absolutely.
for everybody, the
Yes.
purchasing policy and how we make these decisions?
Okay, let me just start off by saying, usually when we go out for a quote, it's stressed that we want apples for apples, compare apples to apples. So usually when we go out, that's what we are looking for. But with this being a little different, that they're not making the 2026 Ford Escapes anymore, we've got to look at what's on the lot. Every lot has something different. Their options are different. So this one's a little bit quirky in that sense, that it's more aggravating to look at them all together because they're not apples to apples. But the second thing is regarding the local vendor. In our purchasing policy, we do have a local vendor preference, which means I believe it's 10% price difference. If the local vendor is within 10% of the lowest bid, then we can award and it's a dollar amount. I don't have that on the top of my head, but it is definitely more than the 1,300. Then we can go with a local vendor.
I guess my question is, because I know Don Richards is not the only Ford here in Carroll County. So my question is, why didn't we look at the other Carroll County Ford dealerships as well to compare?
Probably because they didn't have, I know we went to, so Mr. Dutton's the one that got the quotes for us, because apparently he's the one that does that now. And it's like she said, we were because they no longer, you were having to find what's on people's lots, because and so I don't know exactly how many he reached out to. I know he spent a couple of weeks reaching out, trying to, like she said, trying to find apples for apples, but we weren't able to find apples for apples because they all have different options what's sitting on the lot, and they're not, you just can't find them. Some of the Ford dealerships we reached out to said, we don't have any, can't get them, we don't have any. So to simply ask your question, I don't know who all he reached out to.
Right, because that's my thing. I want to make sure, because we are Carroll County, and I get that we want to make sure we're focusing on Carroll County, then we should focus on all of the dealerships that offer that type of make of vehicle. Whether it's outside of Paulding or Union, I get that, but it looks like we're kind of like just monopolizing on one specific one because they're across the street, and that's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible for transparency.
Yeah, I'm not sure with him not being here, I'm not sure if he did reach out and then they just didn't have one to provide a quote. Because I know that's, from a purchasing standpoint, that's what we do, is we send it out, and then some, if they don't have anything or they just don't want to place a quote, they just won't respond. So without him being here, I'm not quite sure who he, asked for a quote for.
Can we get that information by next week?
Sure.
Can I speak to that?
Sure.
Since Fleet falls under me, Stephen's actually in Josh Smith, Public Works Director. Stephen's out this week and next week. He's in Utah. Okay. We did briefly discuss this because I knew it was coming up, and as was discussed, he did send it out, to various dealers, and typically we just wait to see if they want to do business or if they send anything back. We're not going and beating down their door to sell a vehicle. Some of them too, you want certain options. Some of the options like the power lift gate and things like that, if they have that on the lot, great. But we have certain list items that we would send, to all of these different dealers, saying this is basically what we're looking for. This is the minimum, options we would like to have. And some of those don't have those on the lot, to be able to even report back with a quote to give us, so that's the reason that you end up with all these different kind of locations coming back out. The buy local, policy is one of the reasons that, that's typically preferred, is because these dealerships are also stimulating not just Carroll County's economy, but also the city of Villa Rica's economy. We're not paying tax because we're government, but they have taxes they have to pay as well. So, that's typically why the preference is to buy local, not just because simply they're across the street and they're, close to do business with, but also because purchasing this vehicle from them, yes, they're making money, from us purchasing a vehicle, but also they'll be putting money back into our economy, with this purchase, not just through Carroll County, but because they're also in the city of Villa Rica. So.
And I totally understand that, but for transparency's sake and perception, we need to make sure for the city when they're asking at this time in our city council that we have done our due diligence and reached out to every Ford dealership that's in Carroll County, not just the one here in Villa Rica. Outside of that, we reached out to Paulding County and Union City, which is fine. I don't care about that. But if we're saying, well, let's focus on Carroll County, then we need to make sure that we're representing it and getting those bids, even if they don't have whatever we're looking for. At least we have that documentation. If there's an open record request asking, what did we get or who did we seek, then we can have our receipts, if you will.
Right. I believe that, the policy and it, is 3 quotes or is it 4?
And the local vendor preference is within the city limits as well. My purchasing director just texted me to confirm. The local vendor preference is within the city limits, and it's 5% or no more than $3,750.
So, and typically, we don't want to bombard, you guys with 500 quotes, when we come in. So we typically try to do the due diligence to say, we sent all this out. These are the 4 most comparable quotes, that we got back. And we kind of look at it in the sense of, why would we bring you one in that says, well, here's 40,000. Here's 10 of them, that were way out of the price range, with the purchasing policy was just trying to follow that and say, here's the 4 quotes we did get back that were within the range, that we were looking at with the options we were looking at. So
Right,
yeah.
and I get it. I just want to make sure we got somewhere documented that we reached out to others as well, even if we don't present it at a work session or council, but we got it somewhere that initially that particular company was, presented the opportunity
Right.
to provide a bid
Yeah.
within our county. That's all I'm asking for.
I don't know which ones I know Steve did tell me he reached out to the one in Bremen. I don't remember the name.
Pioneer.
Pioneer. I know he did reach out to Pioneer. Pioneer did not have anything to offer us.
Yeah.
I know he did reach out to them.
Because that's what I'm asking. It's
But
just
what others-
the ones that's
I
in
don't
Carroll,
know.
what did they say?
I don't know about Pugmire. I do know that Pioneer, didn't have one to offer. So
Okay.
Councilman Barr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a 2-part question. Sorry. I have a 2-part question. So the first question is, how critical are those options to us? I mean, we were having a conversation about that, so I'm just curious. Are those options critical? We have to have those things?
No, sir, we don't have to have them.
Okay. And the second question, I know that governments like to have certain particular makes. Are we like under some type of contract that we have to get forward, or is there a particular reason why?
well, again,
We-
under the fleet maintenance and management, that we perform in-house for one, it allows us to better resource our vendors when it comes to purchasing, those maintenance pieces and parts that we need. So, if you're ordering, so the question was asked about if they're going to discontinue this vehicle, what about the parts and things? So when they discontinue a vehicle now, they're discontinuing basically that model. They're not discontinuing necessarily the mechanical portions of that. So that 1.5 liter engine, is in basically everything that Ford has in that line. That's what's also in the Bronco Sports and all those kind of things. So one of the reasons that we try to stick with a particular model or particular brand is because when, we have so many vehicles, when we go out and order filters, oil filters, gas filters, air filters, the oil itself, all of those different things, we're able to get that at a better cost, because we're ordering in bulk. If you begin to diversify your fleet to where you've got so many General Motor projects or products and Ford products and Chrysler products, then you're not going to get those same type of deals when you're ordering your parts and equipment and stuff for maintenance. So.
Thank you for
Yeah,
following
and
up on the
the
parts
uniformity
question.
as well, too.
But my question was more so, is there's not like a specific contract that we have to have forward or anything like that? Okay. And the reason why I'm asking, or I asked that question, just we're talking about, local vendors, and I just want to make sure, we're fair to our good friends over at Liberty as well too. So we do have two dealerships, and I don't want, us to look like, we are favoring one particular local business, since we're talking about local businesses over another. Thank you.
I do. I also want to follow up on one of your questions. The options, no, sir, they're not required. But like Ms. Wilma said, $1,300 is some money, but we just felt like that it was not that significant to stay local. And, the options were there, and we just felt like that was the better option for us in the city.
Oh, yeah, and I totally agree. For me, I just think that, I don't have a preference of Ford or Chevy, however, if we, just talking about local, maybe consider sometimes, looking at, comparing our local small businesses versus maybe just Ford across the board in other counties. So, it's just, it helps both businesses.
So that could be something we could do in the future, but in this instance, we were looking for a Ford Escape because that's what we currently have as the administrative fleet, and so that's just what.
Oh, that's totally understandable with me.
And
I'm
they've
fine.
been reliable, so that's just what we were looking at.
Yeah.
So
Councilman
this
Martin.
card is just for administrative people. Is that what you say?
Yes, ma'am. It will not be marked, so it couldn't be used on patrol.
Okay. Just wonder.
Ma'am.
Just wonder. You keep saying administrative. That's the reason I asked that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Is
administrative means like myself, Sergeant
I know
Landrum,
what it is.
the
That's the
chief,
reason I asked that question.
the chief, CID, yeah.
I know what that is. That's the reason I asked the question.
Yeah.
You saying that, so it's just like you can't use it for something else.
Well, you can, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it
That's-
can.
And it can be passed down, because the old police cars often end up in
Yeah.
some other department that doesn't need maybe a high-response vehicle. We hang on to them until usually they become too expensive to repair. And then we usually hear from Fleet telling us, hey, this is costing us more to keep this
Well,
vehicle.
We're afraid that's where this one is headed.
Yeah. Is there anyone opposed to making this consent item number 4? Okay, we'll
I
make that.
am.
Yeah, I need some more
I
dialogue.
Okay, all right. That is not consent item number 4. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to G, utilities, water plant construction, preliminary design. I consider this good news. I don't know about everybody else, but we know that's an old water plant. And if we can produce more water, that'll be great, or process it.
Good morning. John Bain, Interim Deputy City Manager. This is relative to designing a new water treatment facility. We have been engaged, as we know, with Carter and Sloop Engineering for some time. I apologize. We have been engaged with Carter and Sloop for some time on increasing our water supply, building a new water treatment facility, looking at alternate sources of supply for a drinking water system. And we, as council is aware, in the last 2 city council workshops, we discussed our options for construction of a new water plant. We presented 4 different options to mayor and council with the direction to move forward with design and construction of a new water treatment facility. So we've been in continuing our conversations with Carter and Sloop. They presented the proposal for the engineering and contract administration for this project. This request is for the first 3 tasks of this engineering agreement, totaling $112,500. And this is for preliminary design surveying for the new water treatment facility. This isn't a short process, of course. It's going to take some time to get down the road on the construction phase of this, but this is the first step we would need to take to meet the requests of mayor and council in selecting the option of constructing a new water plant.
Do you mind just briefly explaining the current water plant and why the decision was made to move forward?
Sure. The current water treatment plant that we have was built in the mid-1960s, so it's 60 to 65 years old at the moment. Its maximum capacity, while permitted at 1.5 MGD, which is million gallons per day, we max that plant out at 1.4 million gallons per day. That's the most we can produce at that water treatment plant. We're also limited somewhat by fairly small reservoirs that are heavily impacted by drought conditions. So we have to manage that production based on lake levels and drought levels. As we enter into drought conditions and those lake levels drop, we have to cut back on the amount of water we produce, meaning we have to increase the amount of water that we purchase on a daily basis. So, but on average, we're pretty close to 1.4 million gallons per day of production. This new water treatment plant will be built to 1.5 million gallons per day, but expandable to 3 million gallons per day as we find new water sources or reallocate existing water supplies to the reservoirs so we can produce 3 MGD, 3 million gallons per day.
And also, the location of the plant is an issue?
Yes, the location of the plant is where, again, it was built in the 60s. Floodplains are redrawn over time. So the plant, part of that property that the plant sits on is now in a floodplain, which means construction would be challenging on that existing property. So we're looking at other properties where we can build a new water plant nearby to that treatment plant. But we're looking at other properties very nearby and near our raw water reservoirs to construct this new treatment plant. So the plant, the staff does a great job operating that plant. But it is a building that's 60 to 65 years old, so all the infrastructure of that building is that old. So occasionally we may have foundation issues or structural issues with the wall or roofing or piping, things that are underneath the building. So, we do all the studies we can to keep it as operable as possible. And again, the staff does a great job operating that plant. But we know that there's going to be a time to where we're not going to be able to continue operation there. So we think it's prudent to now start with the design of the new plant, because that's a several-year process, quite frankly, to have this new water plant constructed. So the time is today to build that new plant while we have the old plant in good operating condition still.
And just to add a little bit more context on why we've leaned this way for a period of years, is we're having to buy more and more water from Carroll, Douglas County. There was the desire to, as much as we could be, water independent. We're not there. We can't get there if we don't do some of these things. And what happened the last few years that just hit, last year, when did the new Carroll County Water Authority rates kick in? Last year.
Yes, early last year.
So when you're dependent on someone else, they set the rate. And so you are bound to that. And we had a long contract with Carroll County Water Authority where it stated a certain rate. And that kicked up significantly. But they had good reason, right? I mean, you can only keep a rate for so long. It kicked up significantly last year because we've got to buy that water. And it's an enterprise fund, so it's got to be self-sustaining. It is supposed to be self-sustaining, which then means the rates go up for our citizens. So that kind of all plays into what's happened over the last, 10 years of discussions about all of this. But so anyway, I just felt like that was really important to understand. It's on sinking property, kind of like the old fire station was, and why being able to expand or not expand there and all that kind of stuff that we've covered.
Yes, that's a great point,
over a
and thank
period
you
of
for
years.
that. We have also looked at our long-term return on construction of a new plant versus purchasing water from our neighboring counties. And as we discussed in the workshops, I believe it was last fall, the workshop, we looked at the 20-year cost projections for this. So in all of our studies with Cardinal Sloop over the last few years and our options there, they've done several rate studies for us and looked at the cost of constructing a new plant factored into the rates and our cost to produce water relative to the cost to purchase water. we all felt like that this was a better option, which is one of the 4 options we presented to the mayor and council last fall and this spring.
Questions from council? Councilman Barr.
Thank you. Mr. Bain, how would this $112,500 expenditure affect our current water and sewer reserves? Does it have any impact on our current reserves?
Yes, this is
Budget.
this is a budgeted item
Okay.
that we currently have. We had this in this year's budget.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 4? Right, that'll be number 4.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bain. H1, sanitation rate increase.
Okay,
Ms.
good
Holman.
morning.
Good morning.
Who is
Um,
not Miss Long? This is Miss
No,
Hallman.
she's on a well-deserved cruise.
Good.
So, Jennifer Hallman.
We're jealous.
Yes, me too. Interim city manager, CFO. We are contracted with GFL, Green for Life, for our sanitation, and as part of their contract, it would be with any contract that we would have. But with GFL, they also have a consumer price index rate increase each year. This year, it is 4.9% of a rate increase that will be effective August the 1st. And Mayor, as you mentioned, this is an enterprise fund, so we have to pass that increase along to our customers. So what you'll see is the GFL rate in the first box of what the current rate for the first cart would go from $16.78 to $17.60. The second cart from $10.37 to $10.88, and the low-income senior $16.78 to $17.60. The low-income senior, I believe we do not pass the total cost. It is only 75% of the increase for the low-income seniors. So the Villa Rica customer rate then for the first cart would be from 1907 to 1989. The second cart would go from $10.37 to $10.88, and the low-income senior would go $14.31 to $14.93. So we will do, if approved or when approved, we would get with customer service and make sure that it is posted on social media, make sure that it is on our website, and also on the bills. And this would be effective August the 1st.
Questions from council? Councilman Conte?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is there anything we could do to negotiate with them, talk to them? Because every year they go up on us.
Every year. Yeah, this is actually, I had Amanda before she left to give me the history of the CPI since she was went back to 2023. This is actually lower than it's been in the first couple of years. In 2023, it was 5.2%. 2024, it was 5.3%. 2025 was 4.9%, and of course, this year is 4.9%.
And we haven't tried to look at anyone else.
We are in that process. Now, I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm like, this is not sustainable.
No, yeah. And, yes, we have talked about going out to bid because their contract goes through May of next year. I believe that Amanda and Josh, our Public Works Director, as well as our Purchasing Director, had a meeting. They have decided that we're going to go out between now and September. We're going to do the internal preparation and review of the RFP. They plan to issue the RFP in early October, and then hopefully do the RFP would be due, and the bid opening would be sometime in late December or January. One thing that we talked about at the workshop would be the performance. Make sure that we have protection on the performance, any kind of performance issues we have with any company. Work with legal to put some parameters in place in the contract, so if there were some slack in the performance, then there would be some monetary fine or something that we could do to be able to handle that. So, but yes, we are working on it. It's just the contract goes through May of next year. But we'll be right on it when it
What is
before it expires.
RFP?
Councilman Marchman?
Request for proposals.
Thank you.
Sorry,
And
acronyms.
believe me, we get the frustration because have we not for a period of years gone through only having a single bidder? So in that case, we only had one person to choose from, and then leaking stuff on the street, a neighborhood getting missed or whatever it is, that's where that performance item. So then we did the significant study of what if we did this in-house, and that was all done in the workshop, and it didn't
Very
look very
expensive.
feasible. The decision was, yikes, that would be really difficult to do. Councilman Warmoth.
I'm ecstatic to hear about the performance being added into that contract because, I mean, I've been very clear on how I feel about GFL's service and their performance. So I like the idea that that's going to be, that we'll have some coverage as far as that goes. Can you explain real quick and this may be a stupid question, but the graph of the green versus the purple?
Oh, no question is a stupid question. And I probably did not explain that appropriately. The green is the rate that we pay, the city has to pay GFL.
Okay, so we pay the green and then the customers pay the purple. That
They
makes
pay us for us to turn around
Right.
and pay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so speaking of performance, how can customers get these cans replaced? Because there are lots and lots of broken cans, and many of those broken cans are because of the service that GFL is providing us. So how, if you can, because I have had some citizens reach out to me regarding replacement of those cans, and a lot of people believe that this is a service that the city is providing, and it is not. It is GFL. So I just want to make sure that that is clarified as well. But how can they go about having those cans replaced? And because it's not a very easy process.
Right. Currently, they call customer service, our customer service, not GFL directly. Call our customer service. Our customer service staff places the request or complaint into the GFL portal. That is how GFL is notified, and that's how they work out replacement of carts, juice on the road, all that gross stuff that comes with garbage. However, the meeting that Amanda, the interim finance director, and our public works director and deputy director had, which I found very interested, and Josh, tell me if I'm saying anything wrong, was with Duke's having all the history of 20 years ago or whatever, the city used to have extra cans on hand. So you didn't have to wait on another company to come. That was kind of like an extra service we provided, to be able to respond quicker. So I would say that would be something we could work on. It wouldn't be something we'd be able to turn on tomorrow, but I do think that would provide more customer service to the citizens. But I think that we also need to speak with GFL and say, okay, if we do this as a city on your behalf, then we need to be able to get something for that, some credit of some sort, because that saves y'all from having to do it, but we're having to use our staff to do it. So that is something that was discussed. And I think that is definitely going to be a change that we're going to see definitely at the renewal, but is something we can talk about now to see what we can do in the short term to get that started.
I'm not sure that the city will be able to have that many trash cans on hand. I mean, again, this is my issue with the service that we are being provided. I tell my children all the time, if you see that something needs to be done, then do it without me having to prompt you to do it. It's obvious that these cans are broken. fix it, replace them. The customer should not have to reach out to have them bring out another can. They see it's broken. Again, 9 times out of 10, it's them that are breaking these cans. So something needs to happen. Whether they go out and take inventory of, I don't care how they have to do it.
Right.
But these customers need their cans replaced, and it shouldn't be something that the city is responsible for. We're paying a substantial amount of money, and they need to provide a decent service. And I have been very vocal on how I feel about their service that they are providing. And again, something as simple as replacing a can without having to be prompted to do so it will go a long way with citizens.
Okay. I will ask the Public Works Director if he'll reach out to the GFL contact and start that conversation to see if we can't go ahead and have them take an inventory or do something so that they can get on it without it having to go through the portal.
Right, and I'm all for the city having cans on hand for here and there, but when I say there are multiple, they need to do something to take inventory and get things replaced now. And then in the future, if there's some kind of issue, then yes, the city can have those on hand to take care of. But right now,
Okay.
something bigger needs to happen.
Okay.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
And Josh may know better about this with having the background in Public Works. Do you think part of the problem with them maybe not recognize, it's been a long time since I had to call in and get one replaced, but the way they used to do it, remember they were hanging out the back of the truck and people were physically picking up those dumpsters. Now, a big arm comes out, picks it up, and this is maybe how they get broken, jams it on the top so everything falls out, and then drops it back down. And I'm guessing they're going around most times, at least when I see them, with one person, right? Arm goes out, chunk, puts it back down, that maybe they're not noticing I don't know if it's the tops that are broken off or what is it?
With all due
They're like-
respect, that is not on the customer. Regardless of how the company operates, the can is broken because they're slamming the can into the truck or.
That's part of what I was
so-
asking, if that what's happening.
Well, I have witnessed firsthand where they're slamming the can back onto the ground. So regardless of, that's not the customer's fault. And regardless of how they operate their business, that's not for the customer to know. They just need to provide the service.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything about it being the customer's fault that they broke their own can or anything like that. Just trying to figure out how it happens, and they're not picking up on it or they're ignoring it. Now, I don't know which, right? Because I don't know. Are they ignoring it or are they picking up? Anyway, I'm sure you know a lot more about it.
I'll state my
what
name
you
again
do.
for everyone still getting to know me. Josh Smith, Public Works Director. Yes, Ms. Wormuth, to answer your question, part of that is they're supposed to have different staff. You know, they have managers that oversee, you know, their areas and stuff. And typically, those managers are supposed to come and ride those routes and, you know, be putting eyes on things and viewing that and documenting those things. The services where they're picking up the trash because they are using the trucks, they're not seeing it, you know, in the sense of, you know, they're like someone who would be grabbing a trash can, like you had said, and they're not going to sit there and document it. So I'll follow up on that and check with that and see if that's going on. I read through the contract last week, you know, just to see, you know, if there was anything. Part of the reason that we do like going through the portal, you know, for requesting trash cans is it allows us to document it. If they were to come back and say, you know, well, no, or, you know, we haven't seen this, or no one, you know, we didn't know about, we're able to say. And then part of the thing that we're looking at, you know, with the performance is if, you know, we put in a request, they don't respond to that request within a certain time frame, then, and of course, a lot of this is going to legal, so I'm not going to, you know, get ahead of myself. Then, you know, we're looking at what we can do, you know, to give us some, you know, some authority, in that area. Part of the issue with, with having trash cans, like you had stated as well, is the space to store them all. But also, the reason that a lot of, used to that was standard, most cities who were contracting out their trash services would be delivered a ton of trash cans by that trash company. And then the city would go out and deliver them. Well, kind of got to looking into that, and cities got smart about it. So wait a minute, we're paying you for this trash can and for you to deliver it. Now we're using our staff to do this. No, we're putting this back on you. So those are things that I will certainly look into, and I'll certainly look and see if they're doing that. And this is no excuse for them. I know this is. I'm going ahead and telling you on the front end of this, what they're probably going to say to me is that they have had some staff changeover and some shortage on staff. I'm just letting you know. I know no excuse what I said right off the bat, but so I will reach out to. I believe it's probably Luke. I would imagine. So I'll reach out to him. I know him. I've got a good working relationship with him and see if he can't. See what's going on with that. So, and then I don't know where we're at as far as possibly checking with them to see if they could provide documentation back to us in the sense of letting us know, hey, are y'all writing and inspecting these routes? And if so, we want documentation showing that you're doing that. So,
Right, because if someone calls in and complains and you're documenting it, I'm all for documentation. But you're also relying on that customer to call back and complain again.
Right.
And I mean, customers are busy, and to call and complain again and again and again, that's not something that they should be responsible for. And by no means was I saying, Mayor, that you were blaming the customer. That was not my intent at all in my comment. Just that it's not the customer's responsibility, and I understand that the driver, they're just dumping the trash and it may go unnoticed, but when you've got a lid that's falling off, they can see that can needs to be replaced.
yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and continue to harp on it. I just am disappointed with the service that the city is being provided at the amount that we're paying.
Yeah, I'll check. Like I said, I'll check into that and see what they're doing, because they should have a route driver that's also going and inspecting the routes. They're looking at the trash cans. They're seeing, hey.
That's the part that may not be happening.
That may
right?
be the part that isn't happening. And you sometimes you get certain customers. I've had customers over the years call and say, hey, can especially back when we were providing trash cans, can you replace my trash can? It stinks. And I was like, you can wash your trash can like I do,
That's
but
right, simple green.
But yeah,
and the
so
hose.
but broken things such as that, yeah, they're supposed to be checking those. We're not supposed to be doing all that for them.
Right.
Is what I'm getting at. So I will.
Yeah, a smelly trash can is
Yeah.
also, yeah, it's also not the responsibility of GFL. I can give them that much
Right.
credit.
So, anyone opposed to making this?
I have a
Oh,
question,
I'm sorry,
Madam
Councilman
Mayor.
Barr.
Thank you. And this is for you, Ms. Hallman, and just a simple general question. I know that the goal, looking at these rates, it seems like the goal is to subsidize our senior, low-income senior residents as well. Is there, in this particular rate schedule, is it self-sustaining, including subsidizing for the senior programs and any other programs without tapping into any other city funds?
Right now it is.
It is. Okay.
Yes, we pretty much break even in the sanitation solid waste fund. We do have a small fund balance or fund equity in there, but we also like to have a little bit in there for capital purchases as well. So yes, right now, even though we do lose money, we do have other income streams and everything that helps offset that loss, so that we do not, the general fund does not subsidize it.
Okay, so it's not really self-sustaining without the other funds? That's what I'm asking. Without the other funds coming in, so the current particular program doesn't self-sustain itself?
Oh, it does.
Okay, it does.
Yes,
okay.
I'm sorry.
All
Yes.
right. And you may know this off the hand. What is the margin on that? Do you know the margins?
I don't know off the top
Okay.
of my head. Yeah.
Thank you.
In regards to making this consent item number 5, is even if we didn't want to make it consent, they're going to do it anyway, so we're contractually obligated. So is anyone opposed to doing what we have to do anyway?
Reluctantly,
I know. We've
but
been,
as long as we can make sure that we are on them to do their part, then I will agree to put it on consent.
and I know they have to agree. So even when we're saying, hey, we're going to ask for this in the contract, they have to agree to the contract if we want some performance
Is there
protections
performance
in there.
to that point? Is there a performance like measurements in the contract?
Not
So
not
we
this
Regarding
one.
services?
Currently.
That's what we're
Can we
working
add
on.
that in?
Yep,
That's-
that's what we're doing.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, thank you. I
Wait,
missed
we
that.
can do that this coming year,
new
or we have
renewal.
to wait until it's renewable
Renewal in
next year?
next year.
So right now, we're just stuck with them giving us really bad performance, and they continue to increase. And in the contract, I'm assuming it says they can increase every year, right?
Correct.
And
But it's
sometimes they've
subject
been
to
the
a
only
CPI.
bidder.
Yes.
And we've,
Ms. Hallman.
we've,
I'm just saying that's what it says.
I know, but that is what
I'm not
people-
advocating for
I know
it.
you're not. I know
I'm
you're
not going
not.
to go into who owns most of the garbage industry
But this is
and why
what
it's this way.
this is what citizens are coming to me about the poor service, and here we are increasing their rates, and they're getting poor service. Exactly, it's very disrespectful. I mean, because hey, I know we're giving you bad service, but we're just gonna go ahead and increase the amount that you're paying. Mr. Smith, we're gonna stay on them, right? Okay, then
He's taking
I will-
notes.
be like, Councilwoman Warmouth is going to stay on me about this if you don't get it right. All right, so yes, I'll agree to.
Okay, consent item number 5. Okay, city manager, Ms. Holman, you could stay there.
Yes.
Resolution and intergovernmental agreement for, this is related to a T-SPLOS, which is spelled out there, Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. And just to preface this Douglas County is putting something's going on the ballot. So don't assume that we're like doing a tax. They're trying to get on the ballot. Would you explain what's coming in?
Douglas County has called for a referendum for the Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax, T-SPLOST, to be placed on the November 3rd, 2026 ballot. The county and all the municipalities within the county need to adopt a resolution and an intergovernmental agreement, also known as an IGA, for this to move forward as scheduled. Some staff had met with Douglas County and all the municipalities regarding this T-SPLOS that they want to put on the referendum. And City of Villa Rica will receive 5.04%, which is the same percentage that we receive from SPLOST, which is around $8 million based on what they are estimating of receiving of $160 million. And we worked with Mark Teal after that meeting with Douglas County to have different categories. We want to be very cautious in not being very project specific, not being transparent, but being able to have more flexibility over the life of a T-SPLOST. If something comes up that we need to have done, then we look at the categories that we have that were approved in the IGA and approved on the referendum, and we're able to fit that project within those categories. So Mark looked at the transportation projects that were only within Douglas County. We could not look at anything on the Villa Rica side that's Carroll County. And the items that we have sent to Douglas County is resurfacing at 38%, and this is 38% of the 5.04 that we're going to get. So that's around.
If it passes.
If it passes, correct. $3 million for that. Street lights, 2%, which is around $162,000. Storm drainage at 3%, which is $262,000. Sidewalks is around 5%, which is just over $400,000. A multi-use path at 51%, which is $4.1 million, and some guardrail projects at around just under $60,000. So that is the percentages and the dollar amount based on what they're projecting to receive from T-SPLOST proceeds if it passes.
Councilman Conte.
Okay, for the sidewalks, because I know you said we're focusing on the Douglas side of Villa Rica, so that's me. And I got some questions. For sidewalks, you said 5%. What sidewalks are we trying to fix on that side of Villa Rica?
So there's some sidewalks down Mirror Lake Boulevard. Is that what it is on the Stockmar side? Yeah, Mirror Lake Boulevard, where all the trees have messed all the sidewalk up. So we're replacing a bunch of those. There's a connection that we need to make from Mirror Lake Elementary School down to the roundabout at Connors Road and those developments down there. And then the multi-use path, which is essentially the same thing as the sidewalk, it's just a little bit wider. That connects the existing multi-use paths on Connors Road, Mirror Lake Boulevard, future Punkintown Road, all the way around Mirror Lake.
Okay.
So it'd be a 10-foot multi-use path, essentially connecting, it'd be surrounded in Mirror Lake.
So let me tell you my problem. That's great, but that's just Ward 4. What is Ward 5 getting?
So, I'm sorry, I don't know where Ward
Because
5
I
is, but you're
stated
south of that.
I'm on the other
You
side.
get a new
of that.
storm drain pipe down there. It's about $200,000 or $300,000 storm drain pipe down at the bottom of the hill, past the pilot.
Because we need sidewalks, and I had stated this, I believe, the last two council meetings, specifically since we had those new developments, and we're getting more developments that we just approved last month. For example, on Liberty Road, where across from that Chevron and Pilot gas station is, that is high traffic and very dangerous for my constituents and their kids. The sidewalk that I stated we needed coming from Liberty Road to Pool Road, we need something there as
Okay.
well. So
Will
I
you
need to see
send me an
something
email?
going on with Ward 5.
That's why we set this up this way, because it can be maneuvered one way or the other. It doesn't tie us to specific projects, because projects can change over time, especially over 5-6 period, ever how long this, I'm assuming it's 6. But yes, shoot me an email, copy Jennifer, do whatever, and
Okay.
give me a list.
Absolutely.
And we'll start working on those and get prices.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because to that point, if we say, oh, this is going to be used for sidewalk A, and we decide that it's more important to do something over here, we can do that. Or sometime we can't proceed for some other reason.
There's another reason. Yes,
And
ma'am.
we need to be able to shift that money over to one of the other things we need to do. Yeah, there's a lot of missing sidewalks for kids and everybody else, getting even from one neighborhood to another south of 20 over there. Any other questions from council on this? Basically what this is, they're going to put it on the ballot. If it passes, then this is our agreement with Douglas County as to what we will do with our percentage in a nutshell. Okay, if there's no other questions, anyone opposed to making this consent item number 6? Okay, that'll be C6. Item 2, assume maintenance responsibility for the weather sirens located within the city of Villa Rica. This was interesting because we had one out where I didn't even know it existed, out there, I think, toward Van Wert.
Yes, Brandon, let's see. Yes, Brandon reached out to me. He's with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office of Emergency Management. And due to updated technology that they have, they are no longer going to be servicing the weather sirens. So they have reached out to all the municipalities within Carroll County and asked if they wanted to assume that responsibility. So we actually have 4. We have one's at Villa Rica Baptist Church, another one's at the police department, Another one's at the Hilltop Water Tank on Highway 61, and another one's at the Paradise Lake Road. The monthly fee, they estimated and gave us those numbers, is around $75 a month to Metropolitan Communications for a total annual cost of $3,600. And that maintenance fee, or that monthly fee, covers 2 site surveys a year and preventative maintenance, labor for installing the needed parts, but does not cover the cost of the parts. We would be in charge or responsible for that. And then they would send us a list of any issues that need to be corrected before completing the repairs. We would be responsible for the power bill as well, but they stated that when they reached out to, I think it was Carroll EMC, I know we could have Georgia Power on ours, but usually they said that those sirens only use power when they're in use. So it'd be very minimal. The cost would be very nominal. So they are asking if we want to assume the maintenance responsibility. They would still be responsible for the monthly testing, which is conducted, I'm sure y'all hear sometimes on the first Wednesday of each month. And so I just wanted to bring this up to y'all for y'all to make the decision, and then I can let them know, and we'll start all of the process of letting Metro Communications know.
Councilman Warmoth?
So there's 2 site surveys a year, but we have 4 sites. So what about the other 2?
I read that, and I can go double check. I was reading that they would visit each site twice a year.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Well, that would make better
But
sense.
I can see how it could, yeah. Yeah.
This was interesting, though. Honestly, I thought it was just centrally. I'll hear them now and then. I thought this is probably so old in Villa Rica that goes back to where everything was close, and you'd hear those sirens and know a tornado or whatever it might be that's coming. I don't remember when I've heard it, but I know we have our windows shut at various times.
Well,
I had
Brandon said
no
there
idea.
was 24 countywide. They're asking all the cities if they want to assume responsibility, and that each siren has about a 1 mile radius. So the technology is a little bit outdated, but I just feel like that we need to have this until we can come up with something.
It's not that costly. You still
Right.
have people in trailers,
Yep.
with tornado warnings or whatever it might be. And the fact that we are notifying a lot more of the city than I realized, even after all these years. I had no idea we had one out there by Lake Paradise, too. So they get notified as well, which also helps some county residents because we're right on the border there with them. Any other questions from council? Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 7? Okay. All right, item 3, approve the resolution calling for the exchange of City of Villa Rica property. This has to do with the Downtown Development Authority property and city property, and doing a switch.
Okay. Last but not least, the city has what you have heard as Butterball's property, which is that almost triangular property. We've had that for a while. I believe when the previous interim city manager was here, that was one thing that she had me put on my list, is to do a swap. And so now that we are getting closer to wanting to construct the new Shirley Marchman Park, we want to be able to maximize the both properties. So we have the Butterballs property. It's in our name, and that's the property from the screen on your left. And so we have worked with legal. I've also discussed this with our community and economic development director, who has also reached out to the Downtown Development Authority to make sure that they were okay with this. But we were wanting to swap the Butterball property that we have with the property that we're wanting to construct the Shirley Marchman property on. I mean, the park on. So DDA is excited about this. I think this will give them something for downtown to market, to be able to do downtown economic development, and it will allow us to formally have the property in which we want to place the Shirley Marchman Park on.
So where you putting, where are you putting that?
Councilman Marchman.
Where's it
You
going?
saying you swapping what for what?
The Butterballs property for the property that is on 209 Anderson Road, which is right there near Fortune Parkway, where the Shirley Marchman Park will be.
Oh, so wait a minute. Man.
Explain that again. Jenny.
Am I
Do that
saying that
again.
correctly, Mark?
No.
Yeah, because
No.
the
Property?
had that property.
The DDA has that property in their
That's
name.
what property.
The Anderson Road
Okay.
on the right, up there.
Well, you know I'm not good with maps, so what are
Okay.
you saying?
Keep going.
So that property is in their name, the Downtown Development Authority.
Which one? Downtown is
The
in their
Downtown
name.
Development Authority has the Anderson Road property.
The one in Ward 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Then the city of Villa Rica has what we call the Butterball property.
Right.
So what we're wanting to do is swap. Give Downtown Development Authority the Butterball property. They can make better use of that for what they want to do. And then we want, in turn, they would give us or swap with us. We give them Butterball, they give us the Anderson Road so that we can
Oh, okay.
begin the construction for the Shirley Marchman Park.
I have a question. It's not. It's to do with the. I don't like the word butterball, but anyway, that's what you name it. So, but are they gonna keep that
We are VR.
VR? I mean, if nobody don't know what that is, and it's so.
That was my idea.
Is it any way that they could put something else there instead of that? That's my
Well,
thing.
that was only temporary because we knew that hopefully this swap would occur. So, but we needed a place for that We Are VR when they started building the veterans.
The veteran thing.
So instead of finding, because that was a very big ordeal to get that moved. I think they had to get, I don't know, all kinds of equipment to get that because it's not just the We
Yeah, I
Are
know.
VR, it's the concrete pad and everything. So I was trying to find a place to put it where it would, not be in the way of anything else until we knew exactly where we wanted it because we have streetscape. I didn't want to put it somewhere downtown and then end up having to move it again. So I decided, let's put it at the Butterballs. Let's put it at the corner for right now. Let's put some pretty bushes around it. Yeah, it's kind of out there by itself. But
It looks nice,
It
but,
looks
but,
nice,
but you
yeah.
don't know what it is. I mean, people ride by.
Yeah.
All they see is some big old something up there. They don't know it's saying that the sign says We Are VR. I'm not opposed to that, but I feel like it should be something that people could know what they're looking at.
yeah,
That's just me now.
like lights or like a,
No,
what do you?
Another design.
Oh, you're talking about
keep-
just do something totally different.
Yeah, cause see,
I mean, that's a
if
possibility.
you ride down now, if you was from Dilly and you ride down through there, would you know what that was?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I don't. It just doesn't. And you go to other cities and they got big old pretty stuff
Yeah.
and that you can read and you know what it is.
Right.
Spells it out.
But just that you don't. The way it's crooked.
Yeah.
It's in there. You don't know what it is.
Right.
We know what it is, but somebody
Yeah.
else wouldn't know what it was.
Right.
I don't think as I recall, and I don't know if you remember better than I do, I don't think we did it. Was it like the art students? Somebody almost like gifted us with that. Does
I know
somebody
the city
remember
didn't
that?
do it. I know that. I've forgotten who did it.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that new building over there, the
Career Center.
whatever.
Yeah.
Career
But and it's okay to do it, but people won't know what it is.
Right.
So maybe something else added to
Yeah,
it
but that's what I'm
because
thinking.
I
And-
do think that people know, at least people in Villa Rica know what it is because I see, before dances and things like that, these kids are going out there and taking pictures with it.
Oh.
But maybe something added to it, not doing away with it, but
No,
just
no,
adding
I'm not
to it.
saying
No,
do it.
I know you're not,
Just
but
add something to it,
I
but
just
people-
want to make sure that as far as the public goes, that's clarified. But maybe adding something to it would help.
Yeah, just something in with some letters that you would know you know, that you would know what that is.
Yes.
But
Right.
to just
Absolutely.
look
We'll
at
look into
that
it.
big thing. And I'm not trying to knock it. I'm not, and you know, the high school did it. That was a good project for them. But add something
Right.
to it where people would know we are VR.
We are. Understood. Yes, ma'am?
Councilman Conte?
Okay, so I just want to circle back real quick. So I'm understanding what you're saying, what you're asking of us. Okay, so where we have Butterball and the We Are VR sign, DDA owns that.
We own that,
Oh,
the
we own-
city.
Excuse me, the
Yes,
city owns
ma'am.
it, and the DDA owns the Annisher Street part.
Yes,
of
ma'am.
What we're trying to attain.
Yes,
For
ma'am.
the Shirley Marchman Park. So you're just asking us to consent to switching those, so we could still do the park down in Ward 1.
Yes.
Okay.
And in case you wonder why DDA owns property over there, and somebody else may remember more details, I believe it related to the whole Arbors apartment thing that came in. And when the tax allocation district was getting decided, there was a way for DDA, who has zero money, to participate in that because it was, they expanded, this is under former administration, it's been a period of years, I'm trying to remember. They expanded what kind of took in downtown area, and they were going to receive something, I believe, from the bonds related to that, that then might give them a little bit of funding to do some things with. So that's, and I'm not sure, it might have been some of the do with the old Wick property, some of that too. It's a
I'm
little
not sure.
convoluted, I don't remember all the details, but it makes sense for them to own property in the downtown since they're the downtown authority.
Gives them a great
Yeah.
asset to market.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Jennifer.
Councilman Warmoth.
Do we know what their intent is for the property?
We do not. I know our Brecca, our Community and Development Director, Economic Development Director, has spoken with them and charged them with setting some priorities, 4 to 5 priorities and goals, and I'm sure taking this parcel of land into account.
Well, hello there.
I was trying to warn you so you wouldn't get surprised that she was.
Good afternoon, everyone.
afternoon.
Rebecca Carter, Community and Economic Development Director. Our interim city manager is correct. We have spoken with our DDA chair and members about this swap. They are very excited about how beneficial it can be as a property that can be marketed, keeping in mind of the water and sewer constraints we currently have. So we have discussed some other opportunities for the property that we won't weigh on you at this moment, but that we will likely be bringing before you all in the coming months to give that space where we are VR, the old Butterball, a little bit more identity until it can either be sold or utilized for some other purpose for the retail and downtown area.
Okay. Thank you, Brecca.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone opposed to making this consent item number 8? All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and review the consent agenda. If I miss anything, just let me know. Consent item number 1 is workers' compensation renewal. C2 is library advisory board appointment. Third one is approval of reappointment to the Carroll County Library Advisory Board. C4, water plant construction. 5, finance the sanitation rate increase. 6, resolution intergovernmental agreement having to do with the T-Splost, our agreement with Douglas County. And item 7, maintenance responsibility for the weather sirens. And 8, the resolution calling for the exchange of property that we just discussed. Does anybody have anything different from that? Okay, so that'd be our consent agenda. Before we move, I have a question because we only do a executive session now and then. It's usually attached to the other meeting. We don't vote or do motions on anything else, and we don't adjourn into this meeting and adjourn out because it's only a non-voting meeting. However, when it comes to executive session, There's been times where I've been told we need to have a motion, other times no, because we're not voting on anything. Do we still need to have a motion?
I think we've elected to vote to enter executive
Okay.
session in a work session simply for consistency.
Got it. Okay, so I'll entertain, if you'll give us the purpose for why we're going into executive session, then we'll take a
Certainly.
motion.
We are going to have a meeting to discuss compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, and a meeting with counsel to discuss pending or threatened litigation.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to move out of regular session into executive session.
Second.